येष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति येष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामर्षो पुरुषो निर्विमानः निर्विमानः तदेव शुक्रं तदेव शुक्रब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते अमृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शिवः सर्वे तदूनाद्यभिकश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता. Thank you. Now let us call the program to the order, and I request CA Amit Kumar Agarwal, Deputy Convener of VIP Road CA Study Center, to please join me on the dais. Amit,
He's joining us.
okay. CA Neeraj Agarwal, Convener VIP CACP Study Center, to please join on the dais. Please come. Welcome our CA Viswaranjan Sutar, Treasurer EIRC. May I request Chairman of EIRC CA Mayur Agarwal to please join on the dais. And the Speaker of the session, Dr. Nupur Pavan Bang, please join. A big round of applause to welcome all the dais. Friends, the today's topic, succession planning, is not a only one-side communication this today. It is a workshop style, and in this program, different aspects of succession planning has been taken care of by our team as well as the speakers along with VIP teams, so that it is most beneficial, and all aspects of succession planning, need of succession planning, documentation of succession planning, and future of succession planning, all these aspects will be given thorough look into. And in this matter, I request our Chairman, CA Mayur Agarwal, to please give a welcome address.
Good afternoon to all the delegates. Thank you everyone. Those of you are already here for joining and helping us to start our program on time. Seated on the dais, first speaker of the day, Madam Dr. Nupur Pavan Bang, Convener of VIP Road CACP Study Circle, CA Neeraj Agarwal, other office bearers of the dais of the CA VIP Road CACP Study Circles, CA Hariram Agarwal, Vice Chairman EIRC, CA Viswaranjan Sutar, Treasurer EIRC, dear delegates. Today we are doing this workshop. This is a workshop, so we have to close the registration, but then people will be joining in. But we are committed from EIRC side to start all the programs on time. We have been doing that all along last 3-4 months, and we are committed. We are hopeful that maybe in a year or in 2 years, delegates will also align and they will be there on time. Today we have 3 speakers. Post Nupur ji, CA Raj Lakhotia will be there, who will be discussing on effective tools for succession planning and tax implication. And then CA Navita Lakhotia will be there, who will be discussing on the succession file, what every person must document, the checklist, what all documentation we should keep ready with us. She will be explaining everything. Again, this year we are organizing programs in more of a workshop kind of thing. Just before this program, one of the delegates were there upstairs, and he was mentioning that all in all there are 6 hours and 12 hours program rather than 2 hours, 3 hours program. Because when we talk of workshop and practical aspect of any topic, it is not justifiable that we do it in a hurry and conclude it in 2 hours or so. So we are discussing in detail. We have Amit Agarwal ji, I request Amit ji to kindly join over the dais. He is the Deputy Convener of VIP Road CP Study Circle. Regarding upcoming programs, friends, there are line of programs which have been scheduled already. We have given you the upcoming programs. Paper has been handed over to all the delegates. It have the QR code of all the upcoming programs. I'll harp upon 2-3 programs which is of immense importance. 12th and 13th June we are doing a growth summit. Very unique kind of program has been curated and designed by team EIRC with the thought of it will revolve around how we can make large firms and big firms, what are the myths that need to be burst, what are the mindset change which are SME firms required to do to collaborate and move further, and how firms in East can grow further. That is a growth summit of 2 days. So those of you who are interested, kindly be part of it. 20th and 21st of June, we are having the Student National Conference. EIRC had been hosting the largest student conference in the country. The highest delegate and the second highest delegate in any student conference of ICAI has been done by EIRC, and this year also we are hopeful and will be again matching some records. So kindly motivate your articles and your students to join, and kindly give them it is a Saturday Sunday, so kindly give them leave and allow them to participate in the Student National Conference. Then all other programs are lined up. Those of you who are interested, kindly register. I also request you to kindly come up with your feedbacks and suggestions. What more programs, post-qualification courses we should arrange for you, so that because we are already doing a lot of programs, but then it is always better you suggest that these programs further we need to do, so that we can plan and align with them. Once again, thank you everyone for joining. Thanks for that.
May I request CA Neeraj Agarwal, Convener of VIP Road CP Study Circle EIRC, to please address the last question.
Very good afternoon to all of you. I welcome you all to this wonderful workshop on succession planning. The whole concept of this workshop came from one of the topics which we had covered in our annual conference as part of VIP Road CA Association on 21st of March, wherein Dr. Nupur Pavan Bang was one of our esteemed speakers, and the session which she took, it was so mesmerizing that we thought, whenever we have the opportunity of having a next, we would surely want to have a similar session in details. And luckily, Madam told us that she would be available towards the end of May in Kolkata. And I thought, why not use that opportunity of having her thoughts on this very important topic of succession planning and hear live from her. So thank you, ma'am, for consenting to be part of this workshop. And we have also thought of having a book on succession planning, the basics, what is succession planning, and what are the typical queries which we have, how to address those queries. So on this occasion, with the efforts of our publication team headed by the EIRC chairman himself, Nupur Agarwal, we managed to come out with a book, and today we are going to release that book on succession planning, maybe in the second half of this session, and all of you would be getting an opportunity of going through that. And we would also be ready to share the soft copy of that publication. So if anybody wants a soft copy, we can share that publication with you as well. And apart from ma'am, we have two more distinguished speakers, C. Raj Lakotia and Nrimita Lakotia, again, who will be speaking on this very important topic. So I am looking forward to this session, and I'm sure all of you would definitely enjoy this session. I thank EIRC for providing us this venue, the opportunity, and for co-hosting this particular workshop. And happy learning and all the best. Thank you.
as a part of our good gesture, EIRC is handling the members as well as the students' grievances rigorously, and we are trying to resolve all those issues related grievances related to students as well as members latest within 2 working days. And 99% of the grievances has been resolved within that framework. In this line, we have always giving you one pad, and this pad contains this number. Please take out your pad and this first page, and you will see that lot of efforts has been put in, and this list is being updated regularly with the transfer of our officers and the staff. Different department has been dedicated to different officers, and phone numbers are also given there. Landline number is given. So we request all of you to category of grievance or support you need is given categorically. You just go to that place and find the landline number and call it that landline number. There are 50% chances that landline number may not be picked up due to various reasons. Beside that, one mobile number is given. We can assure you that in 99% case that mobile number will be picked up, your grievance will be listened and will be resolved. If it is not resolved, at the top of this chart, 2 names are given, Amit Pal and Anindita Kundu. You can refer your grievance to them that this is my problem and I have contacted such and such person, sir, this is this. So they will take their best of efforts. If it is possible to resolve, they will resolve it. So this is the process of getting your grievance resolved. Even if you do not get it resolved, you can come down to any of us, our chairman, me or our Aditya ji, or for your resolving of grievance. We are here to listen you, resolve you, support you. Thank you, friends. And now we
just to add on that, every alternate Friday 4 to 6 p.m. we are opening a Zoom link. Fix it Friday. So any of the members or student can join it. We keep on circulating. We have I think till now around 38-39 members have joined, and out of them only 2 matters are still left. All other issues and grievances have been resolved. So you can promote that also. You can join every alternate Friday 4 to 6 p.m. You can join this Fixed It Friday where all the officers are there in the Zoom link. It is for 2 hours, and any issues, any grievances which is not getting resolved, you can discuss over there and we can get sorted.
Thank you, Chairman. So friends, now we are entering into the heart of this program, and may request CA Biswaranjan Sutar, our Treasurer EIRC, to please introduce the speaker of the session, Dr. Nupur Pavan Bang.
Thank you, Arviya. Thank you so much. With more than 250 articles in leading dailies like Business Standard, Economics Times, so on, with 22 research case study papers and more than 1,000 of consulting associations. See, Dr. Nupur Pavan Bang is one of the foremost practitioners and researchers in family business governance and succession planning. Hailing from a traditional business family, her career sits at the intersection of research, advisory and teaching in the family enterprise domain. She was inducted into Family Business United, UK's Family Business Hall of Fame in 2022 and named among India's top 100 women in finance in 2020. And was also a recipient of the Digital Women Award Impact category in 2025. Apart from these, she also led at the leadership roles both at the ISB and of course at our Center of Excellence, Hyderabad, where she was Director cum Dean at the Center of Excellence. With these few words, let's welcome Dr. Nupur Pavan Bang. I request our Chairman, Mayur Agarwal, and also requesting Sandeep Surekati to please be on the dais to welcome Dr. Nupur Pavan Bang. I request everyone to join. I request Dr. Nupur Pavan Bang to the floor, and we are allowing the space to complete.
Good afternoon, everyone. Those at the back, if you can't see, I'll request you to move forward as we proceed with the presentation, because some of the font sizes can be a bit small. I didn't anticipate that there'll be a television. I thought it will be a big screen. It's a pleasure being back in Kolkata and back with the VIP Road Study Circle and EIRC. I hope all of you will actually enjoy the presentation today. It's very difficult to sustain for 2.5 hours, but I'll try my best not to make it boring. A little bit about me, while he has already spoken about me. I think what I would really like to emphasize is that all my studies, all my research is not very useful in family business advising. What is useful is the fact that I've grown up in a joint family and I'm born in a Marwari family. I've seen business around me. I've seen that in families, how do people behave, how do people take everyone along with them, how do people actually, what kind of emotions exist. So in most of the succession planning cases, most of the family governance cases I've been involved in, it's psychology that actually helps much more than any other research or any other strategy. So I would begin by saying, मैं यहाँ कुछ भी बोलूँ, at the end of the day, if you deal with people, especially in family businesses, with a lot of empathy, and a lot of times it's only about listening, because इतना अंदर भरा हुआ होता है ना, 20 साल, 25 साल, 30 साल की चीजें भरी नहीं होती है, that people just want someone to listen, and by listening, half the problems go away. While talking, many of them realize that they get the solution by talking itself. So while all this presentation and all is good, and I'm going to show you some models and frameworks and all that, but बहुत सारी ये चीजें सिर्फ बातें करने से, अच्छे से सुनने से खत्म हो जाती हैं. So that's the best takeaway that you can have in this session actually. So my claim to fame is that I am from a joint family. It's still a joint family, a Marwari business family. So that's the main thing. Why are we talking about succession, and why are all of you chartered accountants? Why are you so concerned about succession, or why do you find this topic so interesting? Why is it that so many people came up to me after my session last time and said that we want a detailed session on this? Why? What's the big deal about succession? What's the challenge? Yes.
My recent case of my grandfather, some nominees were not there, some assets were there. It took me around 2 years to get the succession part done.
What is the succession part according to you?
The succession certificate, I'm processing.
Succession certificate.
Look, this is one part, but the entire process was, it took around 3 to 4 years to plan it, to find everything, to ask everyone, everything.
So you're talking about properties and
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
In a family, different people have different capabilities. Like our generation which has started 60 years back, we started with a vision or a small shop that is expanded into a big company. But now when the next generation goes on, one is an engineer, one is an MBA, say the next generation. So I think in succession, the major challenge is allocating the correct tasks to the correct people in an organization going forward, and also keeping in mind that the wealth creation is rebalanced amongst the family equally or in proportion of the efforts they put, because there can be a situation where two brothers are not putting in the same effort, but
Okay.
yeah.
So one spoke about the technicalities of wealth and how it has been passed on to the next generation, as in will and trust and nominees and taxation, estate planning. The other one is talking about role clarity amongst the next generation members, and he also raised an important point of equality versus equity. So equality is irrespective of who does what, who is how much capable, सबको बराबर मिलना है. Equity is dependent on how capable are you, how much effort are you putting in, you get rewarded accordingly. So he brought in the aspect of role clarity and all that. Yes.
I think the important aspect again is the discussion about succession planning. Some find it very weird to discuss it with their family members. And after they are no more, the survivors, they find it difficult not to handle those situations. So if we give them a food for thought, that you have to plan it beforehand so that the people thereafter, and if completely without any conflicts or problems.
So Neeraj listened to me properly in the last session, and hence he is telling all the right things. So the important thing is to start the discussion when the time is right, and to start the discussion when the senior generation is still there, still active, everyone still listens to them, and start the discussion of who should take over the business next, what are the criteria to actually choose the next successor. So the definition of successor itself is very broad. We have not touched those aspects yet in all the answers that we have got, but we'll get there. Yes, sir, you have something to say. Smooth handover of business. Okay.
What we say, accordingly to what's the
Okay. So, sir, what I would like to mention is so far, every single person in this room, maybe Neeraj a little bit, he didn't touch upon the business part, but every single one of you so far have mentioned business and wealth, right? We are talking about family businesses. Okay? So, where is the family in this? We are just talking about the business right now. Where is the family in this? So, that's a point that we must discuss as we move forward. Yes.
The family demographics are changing. But I have seen a business that has been created over 2 generations. Third generation, nobody wants to be running the business. Very successful business, pan-India, but third generation, somebody's in USA, somebody's in France, somebody's in London. Who's going to run the business?
Okay.
What do they do with the business?
So, she has touched upon the third aspect of succession. Business, all of you spoke about. Family, I mentioned as a gap. She is speaking about ownership. That there is the third generation who might inherit the business but doesn't want to run it. But you are going to be the owner. Okay, what do you do? Either you sell it off completely and just take the cash and sit happily ever after in Mauritius or Cayman Islands, or you be a good owner. So, a successor who knows how to be a good owner, if not a manager. That's the third aspect. There's a fourth aspect also, and we will come to it if there are no more further points. What I want to point out is that each one of you as a chartered accountant, you have your clients, and you look at succession planning as a problem for one business that you're dealing with, or 2 businesses or 10 businesses. I want to show you the scale of this problem. Firstly, family businesses globally, it's not just in India. Can all of you see this? Sir, I'm not sure at the end if you can see these numbers. If you can't, please move forward. But globally, family businesses form 70 to 80% of the GDP of nations. And number of family businesses are basically staggering. In India, we have close to 93% businesses as family businesses and listed companies. And this I'm talking about a very precise, hand-segregated data. 91% of listed companies in India are family businesses. It's a staggering, mind-boggling number. Okay, but you can say, okay, so what? 91% of Indian family businesses are 91% of businesses are family businesses, so what? It doesn't mean that all of them are facing succession challenges. Let me show you another data. Globally, this is true globally. We'll come to India also. The first generation builds the business. Second generation, only about 1 in 3 businesses survive. Only 1 in 3 businesses survive in the second generation. When we come to the third generation, only 3 in 100 businesses survive. PricewaterhouseCoopers, and what they found was number one challenge was succession planning. And this was done across around 67 countries, 1,800 plus companies. By companies, I mean family businesses, and succession planning was the number one challenge. Despite this challenge, when they asked people, do you have a succession plan? Most of them said they don't. And in fact, on an average, 70% of family businesses don't have a succession plan. Okay, these are again numbers that you say, okay, fine, this is globally, but India is much better. All of you remember liberalization. Many of you remember liberalization because I see people who are pretty, they'll be in their 40s and 50s. So you remember liberalization 1991. You would also remember that late 1980s and early 1990s, there was a rush for companies to get incorporated and companies to start doing new things because of newer opportunities. So what we found is that in India, about, if I just add up the graphs in the 26 to 50-year-old companies, these are companies based on their incorporation year, age of the company based on their incorporation year. Companies which were found in 90s and early 2000s. 80s, 90s and early 2000s, 26 to 50-year-old. When the promoter was, let's say an average age of a promoter in India, when they start a company, is around 35 years. Those promoters are today 70 years old. And succession is mandatory for them. They are at an age where they don't have a choice. They have to pass on the baton. Now, if they started a business at 30 in 1990, today they are 66, right? 66 years old. So many of the promoters are now in their late 60s and 70s, and they have no choice but to pass on the baton to the next generation. One estimate says that around 75% of the family businesses in India will pass on the baton to the next generation in the next 10 years. 75%. Let that sink in. We are talking about 75% listed companies in India. And if it doesn't succeed, we have also seen only 30 out of 100 companies survive in the next generation. I am assuming we are talking about the next generation. If they are 26 to 50-year-old, we are talking about second generation only. So you see the staggering challenge that we face as a country, and hence all of you should be equipped to help these companies. A chartered accountant is the first point of contact for any business. You know them inside out. You know, मेरा बेटा काम नहीं कर रहा. They'll come and tell you only कि भैया वो बेटा तो एकदम नालायक है, काम नहीं करता है कुछ नहीं. 12 बजे तो आता है ऑफिस, क्या काम करेगा? अमेरिका भेजे उसको पढ़ने के लिए, यहाँ आके कुछ नहीं करता है. You'll be the first one they'll come and tell this to. However, most of the time, because of your training, I think you are in that mode of how do you pass on the shares to your children, or how do you create structures to save tax and all that, but how do you ensure that the business and the family lives? परिवार ना टूटे, business चले, पहले उसको तो ensure that. What are those shares worth? If the business doesn't survive, what are those shares worth? Now, what is that house worth if the family is no longer together? It's not a home. So, before I actually begin the session on succession planning, why do we need this session today? मतलब अभी तक मैंने बोल दिया succession planning important है. आप लोग जाके अपने clients को बोल सकते हो, करो आप succession planning. पर आप लोगों ने देखा कि किसी ने बोला हम wealth management कैसे करेंगे, estate planning कैसे करेंगे, किसी ने बोला business को smoothly कैसे transfer करेंगे, किसी ने बोला कि बातें करनी चाहिए इसके बारे में. But what I want to about is this. Is there some? Yeah.
An event.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to see this, and I'll pause and I'll tell you what do you think.
Diversity of information will give you a much sharper perspective. For example, in 1986, Britain's Guardian newspaper had a very notable advertising campaign called Points of View.
So in 1986, the Guardian newspaper of England, they had put out this ad. So I'll just show you what is the ad about, and I'll ask you a few questions. You can see a man, you can see a lady standing there. Now see closely.
Event, seen from one point of view, gives one impression. The first
What do you see? I'll play this again.
An event, seen from one point of view, gives one impression. The first angle.
What do you see? The man is rushing towards the lady in haste. Anything else? He is struggling to run. He is just running, may not be towards something. Yes.
Man running for his life, nothing to do with lady.
Man running for his life, nothing to do with the lady.
I think he is escaping from something.
He is escaping from something. Okay. Any other points? Okay. Let's see more.
The skinhead running away as if he's done something wrong and been spotted. The second point of view.
So basically, what the ad is saying is he is running away as though he's done something wrong and he has been spotted. There's also a car coming from there, right? Now see the other angle.
But he's attacking an older man walking down the street. Seen from another point of view.
Okay. What do you see? I'll play this again.
Been spotted. The second point of view looks like he's attacking an older man walking down the street. Seen from another point of view, it gives quite a different impression.
Okay, so the second point of view seemed like he's attacking a man. Right? Any other points of view you people have? Sorry?
Snatching the bag from
Snatching the bag, okay?
Maybe the bag is bomb and is trying to catch them.
Oh wow. Okay, the bag might have bomb and he's trying to throw it away. Fine. Let's see actually what is happening.
While the third perspective, the actual story, shows the skinhead is actually saving the gentleman from danger as bricks fall from a building site. But it's only when you get the whole picture you can fully understand what's going on.
So,
Sadly, since that campaign, 30...
when you see the full picture, you see that he's trying to save the man. Okay? Now, what I'm trying to tell you is, when you see succession planning from one angle only, you don't get the full picture. Okay? You can see it from the angle that a person is running, you can see it from the angle that a person is attacking someone, you can see it from the angle that the bag has bomb and he's trying to snatch the bag. But the reality could be he's trying to save someone's life. right? So we generally don't see the big picture. Today, the agenda for this session is to show you the big picture on succession planning. Are we clear? Okay. This is very interactive, so please feel free to ask questions as and when you have them. We discussed that generally succession is seen from a leadership angle. How do you pass on the business to the next generation? But actually there are four main angles from which we need to see succession. The first thing is ownership. Who owns the shares? And how will it get transferred to the next generation? Now, this has become an extremely important part of succession planning of late, because in the past, you would know that we had the Hindu undivided family. We still have some of them, and most of the family assets or business assets used to be under a single umbrella, and nobody used to really bother about who owns what. But now, with nuclear families, now with families spread across geographically, now with families not working in the business. Some of the children may not be working in the business, some of the children may be working, some pursue something different. The question of ownership has become very important. Also, in the past, ownership used to just, it used to be there. Like I still remember that, I was advising one family, and it's the fourth generation now. But the person says that my great-grandfather, whatever agreement he had with his brothers, that still holds. We have never, for 3 generations, we never asked this question that मेरे दादाजी को क्या मिला, फिर मेरे पापा को क्या मिला, हम लोग कभी पूछा ही नहीं. So now, in the 4th generation, there are about 8 of them, and they just don't know, because this has to get clarified from the great-grandfather's time. That are the shares getting split equally amongst 8 of them, or is it that great-grandfather had 2 sons, so वहाँ 50-50 हुआ, फिर वो 50-50 father के generation में सिर्फ father के बच्चों को उनका 50-50 मिला, या फिर third generation में अगर 6 लोग थे तो 6 में equally बटा. अभी clarity नहीं है उसकी, क्या आंसर दोगे आप? Now how do you resolve this? Great-grandfather is not there. In the grandfather's era, one person is not there, one person is there. How do you decide these things now? But now, the next generation wants this clarity. There is a family in the 3rd generation, they actually split because they said that मेरे 2 बच्चे दोनों जन business में काम करेंगे, but we'll get only 25-25 because my father has 50. और मेरे चाचा के सिर्फ एक बेटा है, उसको 50 मिल जाएगा, पर वो तो एक ही जन काम कर रहा है business में. तो हम 2 जन क्यों काम करें business को बढ़ाने के लिए? No, it's a thought कि हम तो 2 जन मिलके मेहनत कर रहे हैं, पर चाचा का तो एक ही बेटा है, लेकिन 50% of the profit तो ही मिल गई. तो मैं क्यों बढ़ाऊं business? हम अपना अलग बंटवारा कर लेते हैं, हम अपना अलग बढ़ाएंगे. So ownership is an important criteria. In ownership, firstly, how will the shares get divided? Or whatever, properties. Remember, there are again 2 parts here, family wealth and business wealth. So who gets what? Second thing is how. Do you give it to them in individual names? Do you make a LLP? Do you make a holding company? Do you make a trust? Do you make a society? For every family, it will be different. What works for whom will be different. Then the next part is owners must learn how to be owners. आप उन्हें दे तो दो ownership, but do they even know how to ask the right questions to the managers? So learning to be good owners. In ownership succession, all these questions need to be answered. This needs to be a separate document, and there has to be a dispute resolution mechanism. If there are disputes, how do you solve them? Then we have the leadership. Now, when I talk about leadership, Ambani family today, one of the most talked about families. Is Neeta Ambani the business head? Is she the business leader of Reliance Group? No, but is she the family leader of Ambani family?
Yes, yes, she is.
Yes. She's setting the tone. She's everywhere. And it seems like everything that the Ambani family does revolves around her, isn't it?
Yes.
And that was same with Godrej family when we had what was her name? Parmeshwar Godrej, Adi Godrej's wife. It was the same with Simone Tata at one point of time. But they were setting the tone of how the family would behave. They were the anchor around which the family used to operate. They would pass on the right values. They would keep the family together. So they were the CEO of the family, Chief Emotional Officer of the family. I'm not just talking about the emotions, it's also the network. Parmeshwar Godrej played a very big role in cultivating the network for Godrej Group. She was great at networking. So, family leadership, it includes things like what is the family vision? Now, where does the family want to be? There is a business vision, which every business does at some point of time or the other. But in large families, especially wealthy families, a family vision is also very important to keep the family together and anchored. We also have leadership in the family is mostly from within the family. It is from within the family, but leadership in the business can be from the family or outside family. Right? I mean, you can be non-executive chairman of your company and you can have all the non-family executives running the show. Like you have in the Tata Group, when none of the next generation members are very, very active in the Tata Group, and it's only the professional CEOs running the business. And there are many examples. You have Mahindras, you have you have Dabur. So most of the companies, even Reliance, most of the CEOs, MDs are all non-family professionals. Then we have the management, which is basically the day-to-day running of the business. How much does the next generation want to get involved in day-to-day running of the business? As she rightly pointed out, that in the third generation, many of the next generation members don't want to be involved in the day-to-day running of the business. So fine, but get capable people to run them. That is one part of the succession. Other part is teach your child to work with them, or teach your child to handle them with respect. Because I have worked with families where the next generation says, मुझे थोड़ी काम करना है, मुझे तो बस लोगों से काम करवाना है, पर वो काम करवाना भी तो आना चाहिए। हाँ, आपको ये भी तो पता होना चाहिए कि आप क्या क्वेश्चंस पूछ रहे हो, आप उनको क्या डायरेक्शन दे रहे हो, आप उनसे बात कैसे कर रहे हो। How will you retain people if you don't talk to them with respect, if you don't give them independence to work, if you don't empower them to work? So all these things are part of succession planning. Governance, who provides oversight? Again, when we talk about governance, it is usually people talk about governance at the board level, business governance. But there is a very active family governance. Merck is a 50-year-old company. It's a pharma company, 350-year-old. It has 273 active family members today, spread across the globe. It is still a united family business, Merck. Most of the subsidiaries of Merck, they are run by professional CEOs and executive chairmen who are not from the business, not from the family. But how does the family provide oversight? That comes because of the family governance. The family meets every year. The family appoints representatives who are going to connect with the business board and then set the agenda of how the business is going to move forward. So that's governance. If you need not be a 270-member family, even with a 4-member family, you still need to tell your board, you still need to tell your executives what is the vision, what are the things we will do, what are the things we will not do. So that oversight is very important, and that is governance succession planning. Now, if I ask you that question again, what is succession? You cannot say how will the business be passed from one generation to the other. Minimum, you have to say, how does the ownership, the leadership, the management and the governance pass on to the next generation? That's the minimum. If you want, then you can clarify further that within leadership, family, non-family members, within governance, we have family governance, corporate governance. That can be for a detailed discussion. But as an advisor, you need to know that this is much deeper than just passing on the business to the next generation. I have a question for you people, and I'll ask you to take 2-3 minutes, total of 5 minutes, including the sharing of your answers with me. Pair up with the person next to you and ask this question. Think of one client. Tell each other. Think of one client that you have, which is a family business, across these 4 dimensions: ownership, governance, leadership, management. Which has the least clarity for this client? Think of just one client, one family business client, and think that are they in the succession stage? If yes, which of these dimensions has least clarity? And write down one conversation that you will start with this family on Monday. Pair up. We don't have time. I'm going to give you exactly 2 minutes, and then I'll ask some of you to share your experience or share your thoughts. Pair up with the person sitting next to you. If you don't have someone sitting next to you, 3 of you, or turn behind and talk to the person sitting. Or move around a bit, guys. It's okay. And I have to say, guys, there are just 2 girls in the room, 3-4 girls in the room. आपके पास कुछ interesting story है. Let's all of us hear it.
Not an interesting story, but I was discussing about my client. So my client is doing business with his cousin brother, a fabric business. So equity is divided among the family, both the family. Some part is with my client and some part is with the cousin brother. Now, my client, Mr. Vinit, that's the name, Mr. Vinit, and the second cousin brother is Ramesh. So Vinit got 2 daughters. One daughter completed his fashion designing and coming into the picture of the business, fabric business. Ramesh got 1 daughter and 1 son. Both are very young, so they are not coming into the picture. Right. So So regarding the ownership part, they have distributed the equity. Now, I guess after 2 or 3 years, this ownership or management leadership part will come when his daughter will start taking up the business, and after, I guess, 10 years, when Ravi's son will come into the picture, then again management part will take part. Right now, the governance part is taken by the Ramesh, and the management part is taken by the Vijay. So this is the structure. So maybe after 5 years they will plan for the succession.
So, as an advisor, you have to tell them. आज से वो succession planning करना है. How do you know that the eldest daughter who has studied fabric is the right person to lead the business? We don't know. What is the criteria? All four children could be very well equipped to be the chairperson of the business, right? That conversation has not started. Now this girl has already joined. After 10 years, she will think, I'm the eldest, I've given maximum number of years to the business. ये लोग सब अभी आए, इनको क्या पता है? मुझे CEO बनना चाहिए. But the fact is, if you have the criteria laid out today, then she'll know that I may not be the right person to be the CEO. So what is the criteria? That conversation needs to start today, not 5 years from now. Okay? So I'll take you through a framework for that in some time. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
Ma'am, basically, I presently work in the legal succession plan. We are working on corporate transaction square, specializing in mergers and acquisitions succession plan. So practically, there is a case which happened right now where I was practically working. Like the case you said that there are 2 brothers, they have 50-50 stake in the business, and post that, what happens is that one brother has 2 children, 2 sons, and one has 1 son. So disproportionate distribution happens. So what we family settled the whole thing, and what we did was that the 2 brothers who have the one was 2 brothers, he gets 66%, and the one who has 1 son, he gets 34%. And how do you be fair to the person who has 1 son is how you do it, that there is an upfront consideration which the person who has 2 sons pays to this person, and he also pays a remuneration to his daughter because he has another daughter. So now currently what the situation is that the person who has, say for example, Mr. A, who has 1 son, his son and the client is engaged in mining. So his son is a technical engineer and he is looking after the whole operations of the business. And Mr. B, who holds 66%, his sons, both of his sons are MBAs and they are looking into oversight of the business, but this guy is totally running the show, the one with the 34% because he is technically sound. So right now we have devised this family settlement agreement. We made a trust, determinate trust basically, where we have 66-34, we've done that. But when I enter their office, when we have meetings, I see an atmosphere where the person who has the 34% stake, because of him being technically sound, he is being respected more in the floor. So tomorrow I think that person will get a feeling that I am running the show, I am going to confidence everywhere, and there will be another feud coming on in the next generation when they in couple of years time. So I can always sense that.
So firstly, yes, that feeling is very natural, and secondly, it was quite nice of the family, so to say, to do 33% in this generation
because they paid upfront consideration.
Right, but then
for the 10 years business, basically what we did was we made a DCF value of what should be the consideration which should be paid for the 34% stake.
So they agreed, right?
Yeah,
I mean, generally families would not agree. They'll say that I have 50%, I'll pass on the entire 50% to my child. I won't take a consideration. So there's usually a deadlock there, and it's very difficult to break that. So it's good that they agree. Yes. So
there was a thing that in the shareholders agreement there were reserve matters, so that certain things, like for example, who will the next management major decisions, major contracts will be taken after the consent of all the directors. So reserve matters.
So all that is good, but legally you can't really do much about these things, right? So
I think what he's suggesting is they did this, but with a lot of caveats. This and so many checks and balances, so that this can continue.
Right. I mean, it will be good if it works, but usually, as you can already see that in future, there will be challenges.
But if it was vice versa, the 66% gang, if they were good, then obviously this would have been a more diluted conversation. Because the least majority stake is doing well, so this would be a conversation coming up. So how do we, what conversation we can have with them is that if right not now, for 2 years down the line, that if you see that a person is running the show, devise a mechanism.
So one way to do is to devise the right remuneration mechanism, so that the person running the show gets adequately compensated for running the show, and the others don't get that remuneration. It's like you're the CEO of a very well-performing company, so you get paid very well, and there can be performance-linked incentives for him. But anyways, let's move forward. So why is it harder to talk about succession now, and why do we talk about succession now? It didn't happen, as I said, that my father's generation would not think about it. They would assume that they have to go and sit in the galla and do the business or go to the factory. Why are we facing these challenges now? Why is it that fourth generation is talking about ownership, but first, second, third generation didn't talk about ownership? And it was all somewhere, okay, we have all this wealth, but nothing is divided. And the partnership agreement is 60 years old. None of us have seen the partnership agreement. Why is it that people feel the need to see it now? Why is it that we talk about succession now?
The stakes have gone very high.
Oh, sorry?
As of today, as of now, the stakes are multifold.
So wealth, you're talking about wealth, yeah.
Yes, exactly. But usually it boils down to that thing. The wealth, 30 years back, 40 years back, 50 years back, whatever nominal value it was, so it hardly mattered to anybody in the family. But as of now, the multiple factor, the wealth which has multiplied as of today, that itself creates a lot of friction within the current maybe third generation also.
So yes, size of the wealth definitely matters, but there are trust deficit, differences in opinions. So yes, aspirations, the demographic characteristics of our society has changed. Now the way people think, the way people aspire for things has changed. Mobility of people. So earlier the entire family would stay together, joint families, they're staying in the same place for generations, one family home. Now we have, one nuclear family, from the same family, one brother staying in Delhi, one in Bombay, one in Chennai, one in Jamshedpur, one in Raniganj or whatever. So we have people staying in different places, and in fact, if you go to a slightly more wealthier family, you have inter-country settlement. Like you have people in Dubai, you have people in Singapore, you have people in America and in India. So mobility of people has changed, and hence the way they look at wealth, the way they look at ownership has changed. Tax regimes are different, so they do worry about what is mine, how will I get it. Entrepreneurship and job options are multifold. So there is, in fact I remember, in my family, when I was in 12th grade, I just finished my 12th grade, and there was some conversation that I want to be a painter. And I was told, pagal ho gayi ho, jhola leke ghumogi, painter banna hai. So it was shot down. No conversation around it. But the same family, now my cousin, is of course, he's doing very well in his career, but he sings very well. So everyone keeps telling him, you train a bit and you should go to Saregama and all that, why are you working? And in the same family, people are now saying, तुम लोग next generation में इतने लोग हो, तुम लोग मिलके कुछ business क्यों नहीं चालू करते हो? क्या सब पे job कर रहे हो? So conversation has changed now. Earlier, if you didn't get a job, then you became an entrepreneur, and it was like, चलो कुछ नहीं हो रहा, किराना दुकान लगा के दे देते हैं, या कपड़े की दुकान खोले, या जो भी दुकान खोलना है. But now entrepreneurship is seen as a matter of pride. So people do want to take entrepreneurship. There are so many job options across the globe, not just in India, across the globe. Collectivism is coming down and individualism is going up. Nuclear families are going up, joint families coming down. Now, there is a very big implication of these two, nuclear family going up, joint family coming down, and club it with technology. So what is happening is, in a joint family, there used to be one TV, there used to be one kitchen. Every day, everyone came back to the same house. All business conversations were happening in the house, on the dinner table, in the kitchen, in front of the TV. You knew when you're watching TV, when you see people interacting, you understood what they think, what is their thought process, how do they behave in what circumstances, how is the business doing, how are decisions being taken. So unconsciously, grooming of the next generation was happening. Values were being passed on from one generation to the next. Today, I live in a nuclear family. It's my husband, me, my daughter. I think I see my daughter less than 1 hour every day. Even when we are in the same house, I'm in my room, she's in her room. If she's watching we have only one TV, but if she's watching the TV, I'm in my room on my phone. If I'm watching the TV, she's in her room on her phone or iPad or laptop. So, and I guess it's the same with everyone, right? Every family. There is hardly any interaction. So how do the values pass on from one generation to the other? They don't. And how do we know who reacts in what way in a particular situation? We don't. So bonding has come down. There is not much bonding. And most of the challenges of succession actually happens in families where bonding is less. That's when people start asking, भैया क्यों, मैं क्यों नहीं? सिर्फ 2 साल का तो फर्क है. और उनको इतना क्यों मिलेगा, मुझे इतना क्यों? वो घर उनको क्यों, ये घर मुझे क्यों? ये सारी बातें जब बॉन्डिंग कम होती है तभी चालू होती है.
मैडम, एक क्वेश्चन है, because of the Supreme Court judgment since 2005 effectively that girl childs have got the automatic right of the property, including movable properties. Once they take birth, they are like sons, they are also one of the members to whom automatically they will inherit the their ancestors' properties.
Yeah.
With this point has further complicated the family business environment.
I won't say it is complicated, but it is definitely something that see, there are two things. एक तो ये कि एक तो ये कि number of kids have come down in every family. Okay, so many of the business families I see have only one daughter or only 2 daughters. What do? Now they do pass on their business to the girls. Or if they have one son, one daughter, in many cases I've seen the boy doesn't want to take up the business and it's a girl being involved. Of course, then they do the ownership thing that the boy and girl get equal ownership even if the boy is not involved and so on. So that angle is also there, that actually there are, in many families there are only girls and no sons. Or one boy, one girl, the business is big, both are needed, boy is not interested, only girl is needed. Girl is there and so on. In terms of wealth transfer and ownership transfer, I would say there are 2 types of people that I have met. First is the girls don't ask for their right because they are brought up in a way कि कुछ भी मांगो तो अच्छा नहीं है, मैं बुरी हो जाऊंगी अगर मैं मांगूंगी तो जो मुझे मेरे माँ बाप खुशी से दे दें ठीक है, मुझे और कुछ नहीं चाहिए. That's one part. The second kind of families I've seen where the family itself wants to give equal to both, and there is a third part where the girl has had to fight for her right. Okay, so all 3 exist right now. I won't say that it's very seamless even now. There are many families who don't give equal rights to the girls, and the girls don't fight it out also. They leave it, and there are girls who fight it out. So it is still, I would say, we are talking about 2005, and I think it has girls born after 1988, I think. It's applicable to girls born after 1988. So the girls are very young in that age group right now. If you see, I mean, still they have not reached a stage where the parents are looking to transfer wealth actively or they have already transferred.
judgment came in 2005.
Yeah, but the girl has to be born after 1988 for it to be applicable.
Right.
So those girls are what? They are just about 40 years, 36, 37 years old
This
right
is
now.
only applicable where there is no will.
Hmm.
In case of estate property, if there is no, if there is a will, and then the person who has got self-acquired property, he can give it to anyone. Then the girls don't have the right. That's correct.
Yes, yes. He is absolutely correct. This is applicable only for intestate inheritance.
Okay.
Not when a person leaves a will, giving clear direction, and if that will is not challenged, then the situation will be different. A person can give the entire property to the daughter also, without giving anything to the son.
Yes, it is
So it is totally depending upon so whatever has been spelled out in the Supreme Court judgment, and later on it has come into this Hindu Succession Act as well.
Okay.
So this is applicable only when a person dies intestate. Means when a person dies without leaving any will, and if there is a son and a daughter, son and daughter will get whatever is left.
Yeah.
I mean equally. That is in case of intestate succession.
Sure.
And if I leave a will, I can give it to a third party also
Sure.
without caring about my son
Yeah.
and daughter.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Also, ma'am, like there are lawyers who really suggest to their client that take an NOC from the sisters or the daughters, so that future there isn't a legal risk to them. I know that there are thousands of crores of property which are in dispute due to all this
yes, that's what I was saying, that there are many cases where either the parents don't give it to the daughter, and the daughters leave it also, but there would be cases where such situations have happened that they've tried to take an NOC and girls have not given NOC, and all those things would also be there. Also, one thing, because of these factors, because of all these factors, if you see the emotional attachment of Gen 1, Gen 2 to the business is very, very high because they have built it brick by brick. So they are very emotionally attached to the business. But the next generation, if you see Gen 3, Gen 4, for them economic attachment is high. So they want to see what is in it for me. You have to show them that all this belongs to you. There is economic value in this if it is managed well. Otherwise, they say, "Sab बेच दो, मुझे पैसा दे दो, मैं अपना manage करूँगा." They don't have that emotional attachment, so much of emotional attachment. And again, for the same reason, when we were in a joint family, we would see the kind of problems that our father, our uncles went through to build a business. We would witness it. We would witness how कभी factory में आग लग गया. We would witness कभी लेनदार गद्दी पे आ गए पैसे लेने के लिए, पैसे नहीं थे. We would see how they've handled customers. But now we only tell our kids, अभी पढ़ने दो, अभी छोड़ दो, अभी हम लोग बहुत काम किए, इन लोग को अभी काम नहीं करना है. पहले पढ़ाई खत्म कर ले, फिर ये सब की बातें करें. So they really don't connect with the business much. Many of them. Now, just to add to this, in many wealthy families, very wealthy families, like we look at Bajaj, Godrej, Reliance, Mahindras, actually the children are groomed from a very young age, from the age of 7, 8 years, to be a part of the family business. They are groomed that, okay, you are a Godrej, how should you behave, whether you should have a social media presence or not, what kind of school should you go to, how should you speak, how should you get up, how should you walk. There is a lot of grooming in these families from a very, very young age. Also, the business itself has evolved, which Sir was mentioning, that wealth, there is more wealth. But apart from the wealth, also see that when you were a controlling founder, there was one leader, one vision, one person took all decisions. You were managing governance, you were managing operations, you were managing management, you you were managing ownership, everything was done by one person. There was no conflict with anyone. आप करता धरता थे, आप सब कुछ कर रहे थे, कोई problem नहीं. Then you came as, you know, after a few years, your younger siblings joined. Younger siblings join who have spouses from different backgrounds, different experiences and different value systems, they enter the system. So there is a little bit more influence and छोटी-मोटी नोक-झोंक होना चालू हो जाता है, but you've still grown up in the same family, so you understand each other. There's still that भाई-बहन वाला feeling is still there. But then by Gen 3, you are in a cousins consortium. And in a cousins consortium, you have spouses of many different cousins who have come from different backgrounds. You're also living in different houses. You're not living in the same house. Sometimes you may be living in different cities also. You've gone to different schools. Most of these siblings go to the same school. So your exposure is similar. Your friend circle is also similar. But in terms of cousins, things change quite a bit in terms of exposure and environment also. So obviously, making decisions become much more difficult in a cousins consortium. So all these things taken together, succession has become much more challenging today than it was 20 years back. Effective governance, effective family governance is what holds growing complexity together. We will come to effective governance as well. What does each generation see? We are getting into the mold of succession planning now. What does each generation see? What is the next generation's view and how is it different from the previous generation? Actually, most of the time, each one of them is right. Can you say who is wrong here? Nobody is wrong here. But each one of them is inconvenienced. दोनों एक दूसरे को गाली देंगे, isn't it? But गलती दोनों की नहीं. A lot of times, the next generation members don't want to join the family business, or they are confused. Should I join? Should I not join? So what we tell them is that what are the advantages of joining the family business? Why should they join? There are so many opportunities. Think of any of your clients. The next generation would have gone to US or would have studied in some of the best private colleges in the country. Now they can get a job outside. Why should they come and join the family business? Especially if you have, let's say, a less than 100 crore business. How much salary can they draw from the business? Now they may be able to draw a salary of at the most 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs, 15 lakhs. वो भी father एकदम मर के ही देंगे. No, महीने का अगर लाख रुपया निकालना है business से, तो father will be very reluctant to give it to his child. But that person can easily get a 1 lakh rupees salary job outside, isn't it? हाँ. So अभी क्यों join करना? So I was in ISB, and in ISB there is a program called shadowing a CEO. तो वो shadow a CEO में let's say Dr. Reddy's के JV Prasad है, Anand Mahindra है. So what the students would have to bid. You know, वो लोग, every student has some points depending on their performance. So they can bid कि आप किस CEO को shadow करना चाहते हैं. उसमें स्टूडेंट्स अपने सारे पॉइंट्स लगा देते थे अच्छे CEOs को शैडो करने में, एंड दे कैन शैडो दैट CEO फॉर जस्ट 1 day. तो बेसिकली यू शैडो दैट CEO एंड सी कि वो दिन भर उनका दिनचर्या कैसा है, वो कैसे डिसीजंस ले रहे हैं, how are the deals happening, how are the meetings happening. You just shadow someone and see that for 1 day. Now imagine you're born in the family of Mukesh Ambani and you're seeing Mukesh Ambani every day. Now imagine what kind of unconscious grooming is happening for Anant Ambani, Akash Ambani and Isha Ambani. Now they are born in that family. So similarly, when you're born in a business family, unconsciously you're being groomed by your father, your mother, your uncles. You are seeing कि आज भाव क्या है, आज commodities का भाव क्या है, आज shares का भाव क्या है, आज कैसे हम ऑर्डर्स दे रहे हैं, कैसे हम बेच रहे हैं. कैसे किसी भी कस्टमर से बात कर रहे हैं, all this is happening unconsciously. In fact, even today I say that I actually understand family businesses much better because when I was growing up, I've studied in different cities, but until 5th I was in Ramgarh. Ramgarh is my native place. मैं गल्ला पे बैठती थी. We have a medicine shop and I used to sit there from the age of 7, 8 and चाचा जी खाना खाने जाते थे तो मैं 1 घंटा 1.5 घंटा बैठी हूँ वहाँ पे. तो मैं उनको भी देखती थी वो कैसे सबसे डील कर रहे हैं. I used to help him make order देने में help करती थी. When I would write down अभी ये शॉट है, ये नोट करो, ये शॉट है, ये नोट करो, ये माल आया इसको यहाँ लगाना है, वहाँ लगाना है. I understand these things much better. I did much better as an MBA teacher or faculty because I had that background. So that unconscious grooming happens in a family business and you have the opportunity to continue that and to build upon that. You already have a platform. Opportunity to explore many new areas. So if you have a platform, you can expand it to different geographies, you can look at new products, you can, if you, let's say you are not so inclined towards business, you can get professionals to run the business and you concentrate on philanthropy or you concentrate on research and development, whatever is your area of strength and your area of interest. Rich resource basket which is not available easily anywhere. Things like capital, brand, networks. Today, obviously any of the Ambani kids can go and they meet the Prime Minister directly because they are Mukesh Ambani's children, right? Otherwise, who is Anant Ambani? What has he done in his life? I mean, that would be the question for any child, any regular child who doesn't have that name. But because that name is there, he has access to anyone. Fulfilling the family dream of continuity. So not just are you building things for yourself, you're also fulfilling a family dream. These are some of the reasons why next generation members should join the business, and no outside job can help you give these things. As an employee, you don't have the freedom to build so much. As an employee, you can't say कि मुझे products में interest नहीं है and I'll do ESG, I'll concentrate on ESG. You can't say that. You can't say, you don't have a say on which geography you should go to unless you're a very senior person. But as a next generation member, you have all these opportunities. But they still hesitate. Why do they hesitate? Business is not glamorous. दुकान पे नहीं बैठना मुझे. Air conditioned office चाहिए, laptop पे बैठ के काम करना है, मुझे बाजार नहीं जाना है. बड़ा बाजार इतना गंदा कौन जाएगा वहाँ पे पैर कौन रखेगा? कॉलेज स्ट्रीट, माय गॉड, मैं क्या इसीलिए यूएस से पढ़ के आया हूँ कि मैं रोज कॉलेज स्ट्रीट में जाके वहाँ माथा पच्ची करूँ? नहीं करना है मुझे. So business may not be glamorous. सीमेंट की फैक्ट्री है, मैं गुच्ची का शर्ट पहनता हूँ, वहाँ जाता हूँ, मेरा शर्ट रोज खराब हो जाता है और फिर आप बोलोगे कि बहुत महंगा शर्ट है, बहुत खर्चा करते हो तुम, तो मुझे नहीं जाना है फैक्ट्री. Skills and education are not applied. I have studied computer science, but यहाँ पे हमारा कपड़े का दुकान है, तो क्या करूँगा? Family is already overcrowded in the firm. Already मेरे 5 cousins काम कर रहे हैं और उसमें से 2 मुझे बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है, मैं उनके साथ काम ही नहीं कर सकता, तो मुझे नहीं ज्वाइन करना है. Unpleasant relationships, sibling rivalry. मेरा भाई मेरे से 4 साल बड़ा है, ऑलरेडी सबको ही उसके ही गुण गाते हैं. मैं अभी भी पूरी जिंदगी उसके शैडो में ही बिताया मैंने. अभी ज्वाइन कर लूंगा तब भी सब बड़े भैया ही करेंगे, मेरी तो कोई कदर ही नहीं रहेगी वहाँ, तो मुझे नहीं ज्वाइन करना है. Difficult to play doubles with the founder. ये सिर्फ मुझे पापा के साथ काम करना है, लेकिन पापा कुछ करने ही नहीं देते. वो ऐसे ही खेलते हैं जैसे सिंगल्स खेल रहे हैं, तो मुझे कुछ करने ही नहीं देते वो. Interested in doing something of my own. So interested in my own venture. What changes their mind? Have a clear written career path. A real role with real targets. Most of the time when I do next generation mentoring, the biggest challenge is that next generation members go to the office and then they say हमें पता नहीं है करना क्या है, मैं 9 बजे आके करूँ क्या? I have no work. कभी मुझे कुछ बोल देते, कभी कुछ बोल देते, कभी इधर खींचते हैं, कभी उधर खींचते हैं. Actually कोई important काम या कुछ major काम तो देते ही नहीं है मुझे. So they don't have clear roles. They should be given clear roles with targets. Outside work experience is very useful for the next generation members. Define entry and reward policies. Mentor, they should be assigned a mentor who is not their parent. As much as possible, not their parent. Room to run a new venture inside the family. So for example, आप लोगों ने नल्ली साड़ीज का नाम सुना? नल्ली साड़ीज चेन्नई की बहुत बड़ी साड़ी की कंपनी है, नल्ली सिल्क्स. They are now into their 4th generation of business. Lavanya Nalli is 4th generation girl. She studied at Harvard University, worked in McKinsey, and then she came back to India to join Nalli. She is now the vice chairperson of Nalli Sarees. When she joined, she made it very clear she will not join the main brick and mortar business. She started the e-commerce wing of Nalli's. And she made it very successful. After making that successful, because that was her brainchild, after making that successful, then she started taking more interest in the regular business. So she already proved herself. Similarly, you've heard of the Max Group. Max Group, you have Fortis Hospital, Max Hospitals, all these hospitals belong to the Max Group. Analjit Singh, his daughter studied in the US and came back and said, मुझे hospital business में अभी नहीं जाना है. I'll start a senior citizen living real estate project. She started a company called Antara, senior citizen living in Dehradun. So she made that project very successful. Then that project was acquired by the Max Group, and now she is the vice chairperson of Max. She was inducted into the board of Max. So basically the point is that they have proven themselves outside. They wanted to do something of their own, which is related to the family business, but not exactly the family business. They proved themselves and then they came to the main business. So cases from families that didn't do it, and you know these. You know this scenario that we have one founder has children, children have children, and slowly each unit, the splits keep happening because there's no succession planning and the families don't get along. Each of these units are so small that they don't make any impact overall. And in fact, this is something that I've seen in my own family. Look, on my maternal side, I come from a very, very illustrious family. But I've seen so many splits happening in the family that now each of those units are not impactful. But if they were all together and if there was a vision, it could have been one of the leading industrial families in the country. But that hasn't happened. So there are so many family businesses which have had the same fate in India. We know what happened to Mukesh Ambani and Anil Ambani. There was no succession plan that Dhirubhai Ambani left. In 2007, when the split happened, both of them got almost the same wealth. Anil Ambani got $45 billion, Mukesh Ambani got $49 billion. We know that today, a few years back, Anil Ambani had filed for bankruptcy and he keeps getting embroiled in more and more court cases and more problems, whereas Mukesh Ambani is I think the second richest man in the country right now. The Birla family, you know the Birla family pretty well. Same family, there are 7 groups now. Of course, you can look at it as 6 groups because BK Birla Group and Aditya Vikram Birla Group, you can take them as one. Aditya Vikram Birla Group today is close to close to 10 lakh crore in market cap. Whereas we know that Yash Birla again had filed for bankruptcy some time back and his net worth would be less than 500 crores, and that too in the personal capacity, perhaps not in terms of his companies. And various groups of the Birla family has done, not done as well as the Aditya Vikram Birla group. I want you to think of this in comparison with the Tatas, where all companies are under one umbrella, Tata Sons, and owned by Tata Trusts. Of course, Tata's is a very different kind of family, but that kind of structure is possible for any family business. That you have different companies, but you have a holding company, and the chairman is the most eligible, most responsible, most a person who actually deserves to be the chairman of the group. What the split does is it makes each group have very different wealth over time. Whereas if you remain cohesive, then everyone can enjoy the benefits of the wealth that is being created. Elder Pharma is a company, was a company, where Mr. Jagdish Saxena, the founder, it was a listed company. When he died suddenly. When he died, there was no plan, no succession plan as such. He died in 2013, the company went for liquidation in 2017 because both the sons actually, there were other problems also. I'm not putting everything on succession. There were problems of mounting debt, there were problems of wrong decisions in business. But the two brothers actually fought for the family bungalow. And because of that, no decisions were being taken in business. They stopped talking to each other, and the company ultimately went to liquidation. Cases are still ongoing. Who actually loses? If you see, this is Elder Pharma. The blue line is Elder Pharma on BSE, whereas the orange line is BSE Healthcare Index. So actually, who lost? It is the promoters. They fought with each other. Both the brothers now have nothing. They lost their entire skin in the game was in Elder Pharma shares only. And they lost the entire business because they fought. And because there was no succession planning. So all of these people, we know them, we know the fragility of wealth. We know that wealth can be created and people do create wealth, but it can disappear as quickly if you don't plan for it well. Vijaypat Singhania, we know that wrong succession planning or inadequate succession planning, of course other wrong decisions as well. Vijay Mallya, even though there could be a succession in place, or there could have been, it was probably very clear that Vijay Mallya would inherit Vittal Mallya's properties and Vittal Mallya's businesses, but it wasn't perhaps planned in a way that even the values and systems pass on to him. So that Ranbaxy, Anil Ambani, Yash Birla, Subhash Chandra. Subhash Chandra, of course, that's the case of wrong decision making, but also no succession planning. So what we do see is the 3-generation thing that I spoke about. First generation wills, it's like Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. It's like Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. First generation wills Brahma. Second generation protects Vishnu. Third generation destroys Mahesh. But if the third generation or the second and the third generation are given the right planning, given the right frameworks and governance mechanisms, you can regenerate the business. You need not go down always. You can beat that path. How do we plan for succession? First thing, it's not an event. It's not an event, it's a process. It's not like, okay, someone died today, so we put someone else in his place and succession has happened. No. When it happens because of events, it's the wrong reason. It has happened due to death, due to illness, divorce or departure, disaster or pandemic, sudden exit of a key family member. These are all events. succession should never ever happen because of these things. Succession should be with a vision and a plan. Nurturing and growing the legacy, building socio-emotional wealth. What is socio-emotional wealth? Does anyone know what is socio-emotional wealth? We talk about financial wealth, but what is socio-emotional wealth? Socio-emotional wealth is the wealth that the family has because of the business. Things like identity. Today the Ambani family is known because of Reliance company. Okay, and many other, if you see many other families, their business is their identity. The pride that you feel, the network that you have because of the company. The desire to pass on the family business to the next generation. All these things are socio-emotional wealth. You are emotionally and socially attached to this business. And that's a different kind of wealth that you have. Providing entrepreneurial opportunities to family members. You pass on your family business to the next generation member because of that. Shifting from an operating family business to building an enterprising family business. If you see the recent succession in Aditya Birla Group, where Aryaman Birla and Ananya Birla have joined the companies, you would notice that not only have they done a lot of things before joining the companies, both of them, but also new ventures are getting started for them. IPL team was bought because Aryaman Birla actually was a cricketer himself, and both Aryaman Birla and Ananya Birla are interested in cricket. Also, the calculation that buying an IPL team will help them do free advertising for a lot of Aditya Vikram Birla Group products and companies and so on, and the pride and the name associated with owning an IPL team. So it is providing the next generation members with a platform to prove themselves, to engage themselves in something that they may be interested in. We're going to get into leadership and management succession. This is a model, I'm getting into a very well established model now, and I'll pass on the slides to all of you, so don't worry about this. As I said, it's a process, and it's very simple to remember. We studied, this was done by my team members at ISB. I was not directly involved, but it's a very powerful tool which I show to all my clients, and we use it. Most of the people at ISB use this to talk about succession. We divided into two phases. We've studied a lot of successful successions in India, and based on that, so exactly 19 successful transitions, and later on we also showed that it is applicable in other successions which we didn't study, but they followed a similar path. So divided into two phases. The first phase is until from teenage to mid-20s. Don't take any of them to be Lakshman Rekha. If somewhere it is written that this takes 8 to 9 years, it can take 15 years, it can take 5 years. The point is you should pass these stages. And you should start early. So I'm not saying start at the age of 15 or 18 or 21. I'm saying start early. If you start early, you give an early exposure to the business. So what happens is you develop a link with the business for the next generation. The next generation member starts understanding how important the business is for the family. It starts understanding the business early. It starts taking pride in the business. So the next generation member learns as they are linked to the business, and the role of the senior generation is to make that link possible. The next stage is you induct them at early level as trainees. So this could be after 12th standard when they have 3-4 months, then they could join the business as trainees. It could be every summer, summer holiday when they are doing their undergrad. It could be any semester end wherever there is a chance to do an internship. Join the family business. as a trainee. The senior generation enriches their knowledge by giving them small tasks, by introducing them to different processes, systems, products, geographical locations, and so on, different operational things. The next generation has already entered the business here in a small capacity. Then the next stages, see, I'm talking right now, I spoke about +2 and undergrad. The fact is that we as advisors, in fact, I have been involved with 7 to 8 next generation family members from 12th grade onwards. And then I advise them, or I talk to them, I talk to the parents, and then I tell them in what area should you do your undergrad. So there are some people who are very clear. मुझे MBBS करना है, मुझे डॉक्टर बनना है, बिजनेस जो भी हो बाद में देखेंगे, पर मुझे MBBS करना है. ठीक है, if you are that clear that you want to do something, or I've had one client who says I want to be a chef. The family business is pharma, but this child wants to be a chef. So ठीक है, if you are so clear at that stage कि मुझे chef बनना है, फिर ठीक है, फिर हम लोग वो बाद में ownership वाले stage पे देखेंगे कि ownership कैसे pass on करना है. But right now, I don't want to study what the business needs. So there is a family, in fact this is a Sri Lankan family I'm working with even now. There are 4 next generation members. Each one of them are 16 years to 30 years. So basically the 30-year-old is a chemical engineer. They are into pharma, they are into hospitals, they are into nursing school and so on. So what I told these people is, one person is already a chemical engineer and he is already working with the pharma unit. The other person wants to do an MBBS, so he would probably in the future, if he doesn't want to practice, he'll be a good fit to handle the hospital and do hospital management. I advise the third person to actually take up pathology or actually take up something to do with nursing, so that that person is still in the 12th and hasn't yet decided completely. Or education, so that they can actually run a nursing school. So study education management going forward. The third person, I advise them to do an MBA, so that they understand the entire group structure and understand the entire management of HR and operations of all the companies within the group. So when these people come early to you, you can actually guide them. Biggest चीज़ की ज़रूरत है. You know, what is it that you should study? And of course then take the child's wish also into account as much as possible, and also speak to the parents so that there's a good fit with the business going forward. So acquiring professional qualification, the role of the senior generation is to advise कि क्या पढ़ना चाहिए, and the role of the next generation is to acquire qualification, is to study well and acquire a qualification. After this, the child, we move forward. Next stage is gaining outside experience. Now this is a question that I get asked a lot. Should the next generation member work outside and come in, or should they join the family business immediately? There is no right answer. There is no right answer to this, because there are many examples where they have directly joined the family business and done very well. And there are many examples where they have worked outside and come and done very well. And there are examples where both have failed. So there is no right answer to this. It also depends from family to family. Most of the larger families actually prefer that their kids work outside and come in. And the reason being, the kids are, for example, Apollo family. You know, Apollo family, I know that in the Apollo group, Upasna Kamineni. Upasna Kamineni is the daughter of Shobna Kamineni. Shobna Kamineni is the daughter of Dr. Pratap Reddy. Every employee of Apollo group actually worships the Apollo family. So Upasna Kamineni is in her 30s maybe, or maybe she's 40 years, I don't know. But she has been handling the business since a very young age. When she walks into the office, people see her as someone from Apollo family, and it is like, oh my God, God has come. No, someone from the Apollo family has come. So she is not able to understand a normal working environment. It is important for a family like that the children work outside and come. because they will otherwise never understand the real picture of a corporate environment. If everyone that you see, I'm going to show you many people who have actually worked. Isha Ambani, all the Ambani children have worked outside before coming and joining Reliance. Most of the Tata kids, those who have joined the Tatas now, Maya Tata, Neville Tata, all these people have worked outside and then come into the Tata group. All the kids most of the kids in Mahindra group doesn't have too many kids, but they have all worked outside. In fact, they are not even joining the business. Recently, we had the Biocon succession. The niece of Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, she has worked outside and now she is coming into the board of Biocon. Murugappa group, everyone has worked outside before joining the family business. Science Technologies, Krishna Reddy, who is the current chairman, he has worked outside before joining Science. So a lot of very well-established family businesses prefer that their children work outside and then come in, so that they understand a corporate environment better. At this point, the senior member, it detaches itself from the NextGen. Assign a mentor, detach yourself. You don't give instructions to the NextGen members. Assign a good mentor. And the next generation member demonstrates ability. Then we have re-entry at senior level. So initially when you are joining, you're basically gaining outside experience. Now that you're coming into your own family business, when you come in at a slightly senior level, because you already have outside experience, so you come in as a vice president or a assistant general manager and so on. The senior generation encourages the next gen, energizes the business, brings in new capabilities, brings in new skills and so on. Last stage is appoint the next gen member to the board and to leadership role. Senior generation retreats, take a back seat, allow the next gen to work, and next gen refines the business further, rejuvenates the business, regenerates wealth. This is a phase which you can expand it, you can skip one or two stages here and there, depending on, you might have someone who's 23, 24 years old now. So they've already finished their education. So you enter in phase 2 directly. Now the reason why I'm showing this to you is, as advisors, we are talking to family businesses who are, let's say, 100 crores to 1,000 crores, 5,000 crores, even if it's 100 crores. That person has created that wealth. He's smart. He's not a dumb person. And you talk at 30,000 feet above the ground, sir, succession planning karna chahiye. Arey karna to chahiye, par karna kya chahiye? So you need to have your own thoughts very structured. When you talk in this structured manner and you show 8 to 9 years, 10 years का plan, then they get impressed. If you just say, हाँ कर लेंगे, उनको बताएंगे, उनको अच्छा से पढ़ना चाहिए, उनको अच्छा से थोड़ा ट्रेनिंग देना चाहिए, पर करना क्या चाहिए वो तो बताओ, ये सब तो मुझे भी पता है. So you can't impress a family business promoter by talking at 30,000 feet above the ground. He also knows everything. He is a smart person. So these frameworks help you structure your own thought and give a concrete plan to your clients. I'll ask you to take 2 minutes, not 4 minutes, 2 minutes. One next generation member, you know which phase she or he is in. How can you help the family groom this next generation? Again, pair up, talk to each other, and then I'll ask for 1 or 2 experiences here. Come on, ChatGPT नहीं, ये आपका experience होना चाहिए यहाँ पे. Pair up, no experiences.
the family culture, exactly the case in one of our clients, the son is studying in the US. So essentially what we had spent the time that right now the company is in expansion mode. They acquired and building a new plant. So again, as you rightly said that once they walk in, they have an aura behind them and cannot understand the ground level. So instead we suggested that send them outside, let them work independently, let them understand the dynamics of how commodity prices work, and then we can learn.
Yeah, that's the right thing. Yeah.
The last slide is please. In the first, subsection, after the going out of the experience, so I have observed one of the clients. So they had only one son, and the son was, as you said, that he did a PhD, worked in some large organization, and things that would have been. But the problem was vision of the father, risk appetite, and the aggressiveness. That was totally different.
We'll come to that. You need to address those things. So these are stages, but between the stages also a lot of things happen. In fact, just because someone has reached the last stage, it doesn't automatically mean that that person is suitable to be the chairman or the CEO or managing director. So we'll come to that as well right now. Anyone wants to share any thoughts? New people, I'm going to pick people if you don't participate. I'm going to do cold calling here. So either you raise your hand on your own or I'll do cold calling. Yeah. What about these people? You, two girls here. I want some girls to speak. Come on.
Next generation, I think first thing that comes up in the next generation mind is they...
Do you have a client in mind?
Thinking that ideally they like to put their thoughts on their own instead of others giving them advices. So for them, I think most of the times taking advices from others becomes a little challenging instead when they are trying to give their own point of views. So at those points, I think there are sometimes clashes happening.
Okay.
So that kind of challenge we ideally face in the next generation client. Because they are not always ready to listen. They are first likely to put forward their point of views.
Right. And I think that is one of the main reasons why I said right in the beginning, I think I charge my clients only to listen half the time. No, like most 50% of my billing is I'm only listening. If I have a 1 hour meeting and I'm charging them for 1 hour, 30 minutes to pakka only listen. And next 30 minutes would be some conversation. So basically, the next generation, and it's the same with senior generation, each one of them feel unheard. Nobody listens to them actually. So they are not talking. That's one of the main problems nowadays. So yes, you're right that next generation members are so aggressive at times and they put their point of views so aggressively and as though nobody knows anything and we are the only ones who know things. And they are उतना ही जल्दी उनको dismiss भी कर दिया जाता है. Like if they say the same thing to their father, the father will say get lost. अब सुनना ही नहीं है मुझे. मुझे करना कैसे है वो आके बताओ बाकी मुझे सुनना.
They are earning a fortune.
Correct.
That is the basic difficulty.
Absolutely.
Whenever you are approaching your son with your meager income, what do you think?
Absolutely.
Who are you to?
Absolutely. So here the role of mentors become very important when we talk about gaining outside experience and when we say the incumbent detaches, re-entry at senior level encourages, there we assign mentors. And actually even in the beginning, there's a lot of mentorship happening here which corrects their attitude every time. So they are not able to speak to their parents, but if the mentoring is right, firstly outside work experience will teach them that how managers behave. When they have to report to a manager, they learn that, we are not right all the time and nobody will listen to you. You have to do what you're told to do. So that humility comes. Secondly, you also learn how to work in teams and you have to take everyone along. Third, when you have a mentor, you can talk to that mentor and the mentor will keep correcting you. The mentor will keep saying, your business idea is very nice, but can you put numbers to it? Can you show me the IRR? Can you show me the payback period? When you do that, in fact, I do that all the time. I never say no to an idea. Whenever a next generation member tells me that I have this idea, in fact, there's a Calcutta-based company I'm advising. The next generation member wants to do something in climate change. Very exotic idea. कि इसका कुछ सैनिटरी पैड का फैक्ट्री लगाएंगे, उसमें ये मटेरियल, मुझे भी कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है, उसमें ये मटेरियल, वो मटेरियल, यहाँ से इंपोर्ट करेंगे, वहाँ से इंपोर्ट करेंगे. It's very good, excellent. The father is willing to fund anything the daughter does. But father always says कि सिर्फ हवा में बातें करती है, मैं पैसा लगाने को रेडी हूँ. तो क्या प्लान क्या है? So I say only one thing. कि ये एक बिजनेस प्लान का पीपीटी है, ब्लैंक पीपीटी है, इसमें टेम्पलेट है, इसमें नंबर्स भर के लेके आओ, फिर विल गो टू योर फादर. वो कभी आते ही नहीं है वापस, 3 महीने बाद फिर एक नया आइडिया लेके आते हैं, फिर मैं वही पीपीटी दे देती हूँ. तो भाई अब मैं ना नहीं बोल रही हूँ, योर आइडिया इज वेरी गुड, बट यू हैव टू टॉक विद कन्विक्शन, यू हैव टू नो योर नंबर्स. कोई ऐसे फालतू में पैसा नहीं लगाएगा. तो the mentor will tell the next generation member that if you were pitching to a private equity fund, how would you pitch? If you were pitching to an angel investor, how would you pitch? Don't treat your father or your mother as a piggy bank. No, treat them as an angel investor. Pitch to them like you would do to an angel investor. So these things get a bit better if you have the right mentors in place.
And there's one point you said, mentor has to be from outside.
Outside, not the parents. Mentors cannot be parents. Okay, so let's move forward. A very important thing in this entire thing, right? I am mentoring someone. I am telling them what you should study, what you should not study, when should you enter the family business, when not. But first thing, in fact the example that I gave you, one of the sons wants to do MBBS. मुझे family business से मतलब नहीं, मुझे डॉक्टर बनना है. So ability and willingness are two different things. You can be able, you are very capable, but you're not willing to join the family business. There are so many next generation members working in McKinsey, working in BCT, but I don't want to come and join the family business. I'm capable, but I don't want to come to India, or even in India, I want to do something of my own. I don't want to join the family business. I'm willing, but I'm not capable. I am in the family business, but I'm not capable to lead the business. Both should be there, ability as well as willingness. If any of them is missing, it's a problem. It's a problem. And sometimes you still have to work with it. You have people who are not capable but willing, so they have joined the family business, you have to strengthen them. You have to have the right management council. But that assessment is needed. Most people, they say, अच्छा मेरा बेटा तो join कर ही लिया है, संभाल लेगा. भाई वो join कर लिया है, he is willing but he is not able. तो वो assessment करके, how do you strengthen his hands such that he makes better decisions? No, okay, your son has ability, but he doesn't want to join the family business. Then you have to look for outside CEO and make your son a better owner. Teach him to be a good owner. So that ability, willingness assessment needs to be done. You have an eager but unready successor. So you invest in developing that person, invest in education, outside experience, mentoring, use the leader pathway, review every 6 to 12 months. You have an ideal successor. High ability, high willingness. He is an ideal successor. Groom and signal to the entire group कि मेरा successor ये होने वाला है. Move through leader stages on schedule, formalize the handover, protect with constitution and board. Look outside. If you have a low ability, low willingness person, look outside. If you have high ability but low willingness, try to find out why. Can you actually solve some of those why issues? Sense of duty is not a vocation. Offer alternatives, ownership role, family office, philanthropy, and find someone else to run the business. So these are people, for example, Mukesh and Anil Ambani worked outside and then came in. Krishna Reddy of Sai, Lavanya Nalli, Manish Sabarwal of Team Leads, all of these people worked outside and then came in. And basically the advantages is that they come out of the shadow of their parents, earn and not inherit the role. They work in different cultures, so get exposure, and they bring back change. When they come back to their family business, they bring back change. We also, all this leadership framework that we talk about, I am actually taking you through different things along with the leader framework. So keep reviewing it. Also make performance appraisal of the NextGen members formal. How do you do performance appraisal? Look at business results. Most people look at only business results. But you should also look at if that person is providing any strategic insights. Look at leadership of teams. Are they able to work in teams? Do they have stakeholder trust? Do the stakeholders trust that person? Do they embody your values? Are they carrying your values forward? And do they take the family together? Family along? All these things are very important. Most of the time we suggest annual appraisal by an independent director. If it's not a listed company or not a large company, you hire a HR consultant to do the performance appraisal for your NextGen member. It's a little cost is involved to pay to that consultant, but it's worth it. The idea of evaluation of appraisal actually keeps the next generation members on their toes. 360-degree input from non-family executives and tied to a written development plan, not bonus alone. Also make compensation for family members mandatory. So there was this one question when you were saying that the person who has 34% shares will always feel that I'm doing all the work but I'm not getting appropriate, I don't have appropriate shareholding. One way is to compensate him in different ways. Is if he is bringing so much value to the business, why is he not getting more compensation? And those who are just owners should get only dividends. Those who are working in the business should get a salary and should get the dividends. Those who are, if two people are working in the business, one person is doing more work than the other, the perks and the remuneration should reflect it. It should be done by the Audit and Remuneration Committee, and it should be a very, very arm's length market rate kind of remuneration. This is something that you should definitely take to your clients. These are the 4 mistakes that the family members make when selecting a CEO from within the family. The first mistake is lineage over readiness. So, mera beta is not ready, but mera beta hai. So, you look at lineage and not readiness. Second is, so example is Gucci. Gucci, all of you know the Gucci brand. Third generation, second generation Aldo Gucci, he brought in his nephew because his Aldo's own son was not capable. He brought in his own nephew who was not willing to join the business, and he was not ready. He was not at all ready. So at the end, the entire Gucci brand was sold off to a private equity, and the family has nothing now because of mismanagement by the third generation member who was brought in without readiness. Seniority is shortcut, बड़ा बेटा, जो या फिर इसने पहले business join किया है तो यही चलाएगा business. So seniority in the case of Mukesh and Anil Ambani, that was assumed. that Mukesh Ambani is elder, so it was assumed that Mukesh will play a bigger role, and that's where Anil Ambani had a problem. Of course, it worked out in Mukesh Ambani's favor, but the fact is that it was not a planned succession. Legacy alignment and strategic needs. So legacy alignment greater than strategic needs. I want मेरे ही family का person should lead my business. But what you're not realizing is that the need of the business may be much different than what your son or daughter can offer. What does your business need? That assessment. So if you use the leader framework, you're doing that assessment continuously. What does the business need? Accordingly, you're advising the person, the next generation to acquire the skills. You're advising the next generation to do executive education programs. I have taken programs like time management, etiquettes in business place, negotiation skills. These are all programs I have taken for the next generation members. To professionalism at workplace. Communication skills. So this is not just undergrad, grad degree that I'm talking about. When you're continuously evaluating your next generation members, you realize what are their shortcomings. There is one leadership training that I give to next generation members, and you're not going to believe it. I earn money out of this. Okay, I am a voracious reader. I read a lot. One service that I provide is, many of the next generation members who have joined their business, they come and say, हम लोग जब EO, YPO ये सब में जाते हैं, तो हम लोग बहुत clueless रहते हैं. हम लोग, because we don't read, we don't know what is happening. We want to become good leaders, and we can't become good leaders unless and until we read. तो हमें reading की habit कैसे पड़ेगी? So what I do is I assign a book to them. I read it with them, and then we discuss it. And then I assign another book. I read it with them, and then we discuss. And this is a service that I'm providing. And this is part of next generation mentoring. So how do you actually talk at a CII event if you are not well read? How do you give inputs for policy? Imagine an Adi Godrej. Imagine an Anand Mahindra. Imagine a Sanjeev Bajaj or a Rajiv Bajaj. Not knowing about the market, not knowing about the economy, not knowing what is happening in AI. And they are called for policy inputs, they are called to CII events. How do they communicate? So, and all this reading and knowledge doesn't come when you become the chairman, right? It needs grooming for a very, very long time. You need to keep reading for years and years and years for that knowledge to accumulate. So these are the kind of services that we offer. You can also offer, you can have a team that does only provides these kind of services. So what are your strategic needs? Don't just look at, my family name should be there. What is the need of the business? Not laying out the next chapter. So not clear where is the business going. So if you are expanding into different geographies, you're expanding into different products, you may need different kind of skills versus if you want to remain a small concentrated business in one location. In fact, this is what happened with Cyrus Mistry and in the Tata Group. Cyrus Mistry was pretty much a director on the board of Tata Sons and a shareholder of Tata Sons for many, many years. But when he was selected to lead the Tata Group, he had given a written plan of what is his vision for the Tata Group. But there was no counter, it was just accepted. The Tata Group did not tell him that these are the things that needs to be done going forward. And ultimately what happened was his vision for the Tata Group differed from the vision of Tata Trusts and Ratan Tata for the Tata Group. So that alignment was not created to start with. We have covered this. NextGen doesn't just lead the business. NextGen can do a lot of things, like NextGen can be the strategist, professional manager, serve society, value, heritage, custodian. groom further NextGen members, family governance custodian and wealth creator and protector. There is no priority in this. Good NextGen members actually end up doing all of these at some point of time or the other, apart from leading the business itself. For example, if you look at, let's say, Rajiv Bajaj or Sanjeev Bajaj or Harsh Goenka or Sanjeev Goenka, there will be a time in that it's already come. They would have joined the business at very young ages, but as they have growing up, they are becoming philanthropists also. They're grooming their own next generation. They're not just, they're custodians of the value of their family, they're custodians of their heritage and so on. So at different points in time, they will end up playing different roles. And the grooming should take into account all these things, that they are given the right mentoring, right grooming for being prepared for different roles. I'll not take you through this. This is an alternative framework. So the reason I've put this here is, one, when I share the slides, you will have this also with you. Second, there are different frameworks available. Okay, you don't have to go only with that leader framework. There are other frameworks. If you read some reports by KPMG, PwC, Ernst & Young, Credit Suisse, most of them have their own succession planning frameworks. You can pick up any. What I'm trying to tell you is, go to your client with concrete ideas in your mind. Don't go and just tell them succession planning करना है. Also tell them कि ये एक framework है जो आपकी family में सही fit होगा. आपका बेटा भी इतना साल का है, हम लोग next 10 years ये कर सकते हैं और ये plan है. या फिर say that आपका बेटा भी 25 साल का है, हम लोग lotus framework use करेंगे जिसमें leadership, ownership, transformation of the business, family unity and governance, हम लोग इन चीजों पे focus करेंगे. So any framework that you want to use it, but use something to anchor your thoughts and to anchor the plan. That's the point I'm trying to make. I'll not take you through this. This is an alternative model. You can read more about it if you wish when you get the slides. The source is also here. Can a plan fail? So you've done all this planning, okay? There's so much of planning that we've done. Can it fail? 100%. 100%. Yes, but you know, again, Cyrus Mystery planning was done, but the alignment with values was not done. Alignment with what next for the Tata Group was not done. Infosys. Vishal Sikka, there was a committee which was set up. There was identification of the next chairman of Infosys. It was a pretty stringent and rigorous exercise, and yet it failed because Narayan Murthy believed in compassionate capitalism, whereas Sikka was thorough, blue-blooded Silicon Valley kind of person. So there's no compassionate capitalism there, it's only capitalism with Vishal Sikka. Despite succession and all that, the fact is that 1 in 3 family businesses survive to the next generation, and most family business successions fail. Why? Because family business succession is not just about business. It's not just about that plan. At the end of it, who are you doing the succession for? The stakeholders, right? So there has to be stakeholder satisfaction. Those who have done the planning think they have done the best. But are the stakeholders satisfied? Maybe not. How do you ensure that satisfaction? In fact, there was a research done. I'm not showing you all this, it's a bit technical. But basically, what we found was that having the plan itself did not have an impact on performance of the company. And having the plan itself doesn't mean satisfaction of stakeholders. Okay? Only when there is very high satisfaction with succession, then the performance improves. So for performance to work, satisfaction is very, very important. I'll skip a few things. because we don't have much time. But what I can tell you is that to improve, we are going to come to a slide on communication. Communication to all stakeholders about the plan is very important. And at every stage, taking feedback from stakeholders. At the education stage, when we're talking about the first phase, we don't have to take feedback from the business side of stakeholders, but we do need to take feedback from family side of stakeholders. When we go to the second phase of the leader framework, we do need to take feedback from various stakeholders at all points of time, so that the stakeholders are aware that these people are being groomed for bigger roles in the company. And then they give their feedback at every stage. That creates satisfaction. Retirement and succession are parts of the same coin. Now, if you have succession, but the senior person doesn't retire, it's not going to work. In fact, retirement is a wrong word. It's redefining your role. So, redefine, not retire. Founder's second innings. It's like a relay race. The founder has to think who to pass on the baton to, when to pass on the baton to, when do I leave the baton, for how long should I run with the next person. You don't stand there and pass the baton. You run with the next runner, right? So it's exactly like a relay race. What you need to do is prepare. So who, which lap and why. Timing. When do I step back? When do I leave the baton? Process. How is the actual transfer stage? How this in the process, satisfaction is also included. Stakeholder satisfaction. Exit route. What does the founder do next? The founder will not exit if he doesn't know what to do next. Most of the founders will say, "मैं घर में बैठ के करूँगा क्या?" That's why they come to the office daily. When they come to the office daily, they will interfere. So I'll show you something. I'll show you this. This is not just are we talking about the founder not knowing what to do. It's even the fear and anxiety of giving it all to the next generation. So I'll just show you. Okay, I'm not able to open this video. I'll share the link with you later. I'm not right now. So this is the clip is basically about an eagle pushing its children down so that they can fly, and the anxiety that the eagle feels when pushing the children down. But then an eagle is meant to fly. If the eagle doesn't push the children will never learn to fly. So at some point the founder has to manage his own anxieties and step back so the children can actually learn to lead. So retirement planning of the founder himself. All these things, how will I live? Financial independence from the firm. Lifestyle, healthcare, all of these should have been taken care of for them to retire. And what will they do next? Also the long tenure trap. That a lot of founders spend a lot of decades in their positions. It's actually not that good there's no right number of years, but it's not very good to be there very long. While it creates stability for the company, but then it also maintains a lot of status quo for the company. When they need to change, they are not able to change very quickly. So if you look at J.R.D. Tata, he was at the helm of Tata Group for almost 50 years. When Ratan Tata took over, he actually had to fight a lot of boardroom battles to take the Tata Group forward. There, you had so many, so to say, small like अपना राजघराना बना लिया था लोगों ने. You had different, like you had J.J. Irani, you had Mulgaonkar and so many, dynasties बना लिया था, and they were not really working for the entire group. They were working so that their own position and power remains intact. So Ratan Tata had to reset all of that when he took over. Similarly, Narayan Murthy was there for 30 years, and when he left, it became difficult initially to get the succession right. That whoever is the next chairman, to get that right was very difficult. Rohinton Aga passed away suddenly, and when Anu Aga took over, she had to change the culture of Thermax quite a bit for it to be ready for next period of growth. In the Dabur group, the tenure is typically 10 to 12 years. Murugappa group, around similar governance principles. They have a retirement age, and none of the senior leaders are there for more than 10 to 12 years. Okay. Is the Wi-Fi working? I'm sorry, it doesn't seem to be working, it's not opening, but you people please try and watch this video when you get the slide. Copy the link and you'll get an Instagram reel. So basically what this shows is that someone is playing a doubles game, but one person is just standing there, the other person is picking up all the shuttles. The person standing is trying, but the other person picks up everything, doesn't let him do anything. So a person who's used to playing singles, when he has to play doubles, may actually end up playing singles only. The other person is just there. So when a succession happens, you have to learn to play the doubles game. Otherwise, there's no point having two people there. And remember one thing, in a doubles game, जब shuttle गिरता है या जब ball गिरती है, तो टीम ही हारती है. वो किसकी गलती है, किसको कहाँ रहना चाहिए, तो उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. It's a team that loses. So understanding what is my role, what is his role, and yet protecting each other is very important. Also, a retirement will happen only when the senior person knows कि सामने एक बार है. नहीं तो वो पीछे वाला नहीं छोड़ेगा, वो पैर नहीं छोड़ेगा. है ना, like a trapeze artist, सामने एक बार नजर आना चाहिए. So there has to be a role redefined for him. He has to redefine his role. If you say कल से आपको ऑफिस नहीं आना, घर बैठना, he can't do it. She can't do it. You have to say कि ठीक है, आप mentoring करोगे, आप educational institution से लगे रहोगे, आप book लिखोगे अपने experiences पे. And Science में Mr. P.V.R. Mohan Reddy has done it beautifully. His son Krishna took over as the chairman of Science. P.V.R. Mohan Reddy has totally redefined his role. He is associated with a lot of incubators. He is now the governing council member of IIIT. He is the governing council member of IIT Hyderabad. He is on the BHU board. So he has got involved with a lot of educational institutions. He has written a book. He has got involved with many different NGOs, and he runs his own NGO also, which is quite big, Science Foundation. So redefine the role. And I think there is ownership succession, but I'm not going to take much time here because this is what you people anyways know how to do. Ownership succession, you need to remember that it cannot be outsourced. It has to be done by the family. I mean, the family has to do the thinking. Nobody else can do the thinking for the family. It outlasts the individual. Its implications happen after 50 years. So there has to be a lot of thinking. Things like only bloodline, only my bloodline will get these shares. Things like adopted children will not get shares or will get shares. Implications of all this in the shareholder agreement is there after 50 years also. It is a legal document. It's not behavioral document. Whatever ownership you decide on, it becomes legal. It has to be signed. It cannot be in your mind. So you need to have a concrete shareholders agreement. It is silent until it isn't. As in, people don't think about it until one day there's a legal case, and then the case goes on for 20 years. So it's a very important aspect of succession. It is a seat of governance. The board of directors speak the language of the owners, whether it is minority or majority, but basically board of directors are representatives of the owners. All these things need to be taken into account when you're doing ownership succession: equal versus equitable, voting versus economic, liquidity for those who want to exit, tax efficient transfer, in-laws, NRIs, minors. How do you take into account all of these people? Prepare owners to be good owners through business literacy, ownership contracts, capital stewardship, family view, owners forum, and when to stay silent. Not one person may not, earlier one person could do everything. When you are the founder and the business is small, you could do everything. But be ready that in a bigger family, one person looks at operations, one can look at strategy, one can look at governance and so on. The roles can be split, and that is absolutely okay. The governance architecture is what holds all of this together. And this is something we are not getting into. I will stop my presentation here because governance is getting into family constitution and dispute resolution. So every good succession planning should also start the conversation on building a family constitution and family governance, which means at least a 2 to 3 year conversation within the family. Things like how roles and responsibilities will be defined, what are the exit clauses, what are the what are the rules of entry and exit in the business, having a family council, having a family business board, a family office. All of these things put together takes putting them together take at least minimum 1 to 2 years, and actually implementing and getting used to it at least 3 years. So this is it. I can actually take a full day workshop, Neeraj. I have like rushed through this, and I've skipped so many things. So succession planning is thousands of crores of wealth of a family depends on succession. So it's not nice to rush through it. And you people as advisors should also take a lot of time with your client to develop a succession plan. I think I've given you a gist of how serious and how elaborate this is. Please read more on it and prepare yourself more. This can be a proper division of your firm, that you provide specialized succession planning and next generation mentoring services. And Calcutta is a hub of SMEs. And I'm sure there are like thousands of 100 crore businesses here which are struggling for succession and next generation mentoring. So I would urge all of you to take this seriously. It's a high ticket business for you. It's not like tax, GST and audit ki 50,000, 10,000 ka bill nahi banta hai. This is a very high ticket item. 100 crore के business वालों को उनका wealth next generation अच्छे से transfer हो रहा है, next generation अच्छे से business संभाल रहा है, उससे ज़्यादा क्या चाहिए उनको? So they are willing to pay if you provide them good service. Thank you very much.
Quick question.
Yeah.
From a professional perspective, as an authority, you are giving them a direction for the next 5 years, 10 years, and you are maybe interacting with them over this entire period. So as a professional, how do you charge them, or what is the mechanism?
So to answer. I know of people who charge who say that I'll make a succession plan and charge you 10 lakh rupees. Or who say that I'll make a family constitution for 20 lakh rupees. And it will take 6 months or 8 months. But that's not how it should be done. Because you really need to travel with the family. It's a journey with the family. There are people who charge 5,000 rupees per hour and there are people who charge 70,000-80,000 rupees per hour. Depends on how much capability you have. What are you able to, what value can you give? But there are people who are willing to pay that 70,000-80,000 per hour. And I have charged it. So, and there are people who charge more than me also. मेरे से एक्चुअली सुनने के लिए लिया नहीं जाता उतना पैसा कभी कभी. I feel bad कि really मैं इतना चार्ज करूँगी क्या, कभी शर्म आ जाती है मुझे. But it's up to you कि आप कितना डेवलप कर सकते हो अपने प्रैक्टिस को, अपना एक्सपर्टीज को. Good thing is if you're an individual then of course it may take time. पर अगर फर्म है तो आप अच्छे 2-3 लोगों को जिसको इस एरिया में इंटरेस्ट है एक्चुअली डेवलप करो. Give them time. The practice takes time to set up, but once it sets up, India में बहुत scope है इस area में, बहुत ज़्यादा scope है. And there are very few practitioners who are giving true good service. आपको मेरा फीस तो पता चल गया है. No problem.
It was very good.
It was with the bank.
Before we break for this session, we'll have a formal vote of thanks for the wonderful session which Madam has had
for us today. And for your kind information, we'll just break for 15 minutes and then we have very important session by Raj Kothari ji and Nimita ji, both of them are already here, who are going to talk about the different tools for succession planning, which includes the trust and the other aspects and the documentation required for that purpose. And it has been a wonderful session, ma'am, and it could, as you mentioned, that this is indeed a one-day workshop and it cannot be covered in the couple of hours which we have had today. And therefore, we would be looking for many more sessions like this from you, for all our members. And I request our Secretary of the VIP Road CS Study Circle, the Deputy Convener Amit Agarwal, to come forward and give a formal vote of thanks.
It is my immense pleasure to give vote of thanks. I, on behalf of the VIP Road Chartered Accountant Association, rather VIP CA Study Circle, would like to give hearty vote of thanks to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Nupur Pavan Bang. I think it was a great interactive session and everyone must have benefited out of this. Thank you very much.